What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to another model review. It's your host Ray. In today's video, I'll be reviewing the Gemini Jet's 1:400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 in the United Together and Being United special livery. This model was released as a part of the July and August 2022 release set, and I just picked it up a few days ago, and here it is. This video will consist of a short discussion of the box and then a discussion and analysis of the model's features, and at the end of the video I will give my personal opinion about what I think of the model and whether or not I recommend it to other collectors. So let's get this started. Starting up with the box, all of you probably know the drill already. It's the typical Gemini Jet's narrow body box. It's 15 centimeters lengthwise, 15 centimeters tall, and 4.5 centimeters wide. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. Of course, it's pretty much the same. However, I will spend a bit more time talking about the box art due to an inconsistency I found on the computer-generated image. Here, if you have a good eye, you can see the gray color on the underside of the aircraft is actually a bit greener than it should be. And the gray color is by no means green on the real aircraft, so the CGI doesn't match the real aircraft. I'm not sure exactly what happened here, and that isn't the only problem. You can kind of see on the tail here, the United title is definitely a lot darker blue than, or not the United title, but the United globe is a lot darker blue than it should be, and the color fade from the bright blue up here isn't as bright as it should be, so there is inconsistencies on the coloring of the CGI. However, this does not translate onto the aircraft. The colors on the aircraft are correct, and I will show that shortly. Here is the underside of the flap on the box. This displays some general information about the Boeing 737 family, as well as information regarding this specific aircraft. Take a moment to read this. Now for the model itself, here's the model. The fuselage length for the model is 10 centimeters, the wingspan is 9 centimeters, and it is 3.1 centimeters tall from the ground to the tip of the tail. Relatively small and accurate to 1:400 scale. As per usual, we'll start up the review at the front of the aircraft. Here we can see a lot of things. The nose shape is pretty solid. It's better than the other release of the other United 737 MAX 8, so that's good to see an improvement. It's not perfect in my opinion. I think the nose cone might be a little bit too pointy. However, I'm not 100% sure, and it's very hard to notice unless you take a good look at it. So an improvement is an improvement, and the nose shape is pretty solid. Lots of printed detail up at the front of the aircraft, and there's the large United title with the Together in the cursive font, all of which looks really solid. No complaints so far. The only issue that I've noticed so far is this inconsistency on the paint on the fuselage. Here you can see a little bit of a darker patch, which is hard to notice, but if you look at it for a while, you can get it. You can really start to notice it right above the Together logo. So unfortunately, this model did have paint application defects. Back here, you can see just the windows and nothing else too special. Everything looks good so far. Here is the vertical stabilizer, and I'm going to discuss the color here for a bit. I turned up the exposure on my camera to better replicate the color that's actually on the aircraft, and the color is pretty solid. It matches the real life aircraft, so unfortunately the computer-generated image on the box is wrong. However, the model does replicate it right, so at least it has that going for that. And here's the right side of the aircraft. So you can see the color is accurate on the aircraft itself, so if you were paranoid about that, trust me, you have nothing to worry about. I'll move down the right side of the aircraft now, and here you can see the difference of the titles. Here you can see Being United, and on the other side it says United Together, so that's a really cool livery trick that United pulled there. Now for the wings. The wings have lots and lots of detail on them, lots of printed and molded detail, all of which looks really nice. No complaints there. On the bottom, there is not as much, there's no printed detail and not as much molded detail, but it still looks good regardless. So Gemini did a really good job on the wings on this release. The wingtips are actually pretty solid this time around too. The quality control seems to have improved on this one, and shape looks pretty accurate. Here you can see the shape looks good. Painting of the leading edges here look really nice, or the front edges here look good. And the shape looks pretty consistent. Here you can see the right wing, the right tip looks pretty good. The one on the left is a little bit too pointy, and While that does kind of mess with me, it's not the worst, so I will slightly forgive that. Still, though, the quality control wasn't the best, it did improve, so that's good. While we're on the subject of wings, here's the wing flex. The wing flex on this model looks pretty good. However, you can kind of see some other issues with it, including the cockpit window printing being unbalanced. The printing looks like it's more towards the left side of the aircraft, and it's also bent upwards, so that's kind of messed up. But aside from that, gear balance and wing flex look pretty good. Moving to the rear of the aircraft for a bit, here we can see the APU and the horizontal stabilizers. These look pretty good. The flex on these is nice. The shape is good. That little dot you see right there, this kind of threw me off when I first got the model. This little dot is actually a detail. I thought it was a paint chip of some sort. And I might have spoke too soon, or no, actually, never mind. I thought this was also a defect with the paint, but everything back here looks pretty good, and no complaints. Let's go over the engines for now. The engines on this model are fantastic, and I say this model, meaning it literally, because, of course, recently Gemini Jets hasn't had the best quality control with their 737 MAX family, and seeing the engines pointed very highly upwards at angles in excess of 10 degrees upwards consistently is unfortunately commonplace, and this model was no exception to that. The engines do tend to be pointed up on a lot of these models, so if you want to go buy one of these, do your best to go visit a store in person so you can see multiple examples and choose the one with the best quality control, because it's pretty messed up. Aside from that, shape looks good, exhausts, nozzles look nice, and fan blade details look good as per usual. So no complaints on that except for the quality control. The engines might be pointed upwards on different examples. Now for aerial features, this model features both Wi-Fi domes and antennas. They're all here on the top of the aircraft. I think there's a few antennas on the bottom of the aircraft that should be there, but they aren't present, unfortunately. And these antennas look pretty solid from the side. However, from the front, yikes, the larger antenna is kind of bent to the left, and the Wi-Fi dome, well, oh my god, I'm not sure what happened to the Wi-Fi dome, but the alignment is pretty questionable. I can probably just chip it off and re-glue it, but that's still pretty messed up. Now for the bottom of the aircraft, here you can see the United title right here. It says United Together, and this looks pretty solid. Lots of printed detail down here, and overall everything looks normal except for the gray color down here. The gray color appears to be a little bit brighter and like, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it looks yellowish in my opinion. Here is the previous United 737 MAX 8. This was released in January, I believe, or February of 2022, and you can see the difference in the gray colors on the belly there, so that's kind of weird. I think this one is a bit more accurate, however, but this one is also hard to notice. Thank goodness it's on the bottom of the aircraft, but it's kind of strange how they did that. Landing gear on this model is pretty solid. Here's the nose gear. You can see it's fairly detailed. The wheel does roll smoothly. However, on different examples that I've seen, the wheels do not roll, and sometimes the nose wheel tends to be spaced out very widely, even wider than it is here, so take that into account. The main landing gear is also pretty solid. The wheels do roll relatively smoothly. This one does get jammed a little bit sometimes. I'm not sure why, but it might be due to like a little flake on the wheel itself. So the quality control on the gears has also fluctuated. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So it's really just a game of roulette with that one. Well, that concludes the review, and the aircraft you see on the left is the normal United Airlines 737 MAX 8 in the new livery. This was released a few months prior to the model being reviewed in this video, which is the model on the right here. Both of them are pretty nice, but I'll be discussing the one that I reviewed today. It's a decent model. Quality control has been a little bit better, but still quality control, it's not the best. So I still recommend the model because the mold is pretty nice, but just be careful if you order one online. The quality control, you can get any set of defects, including but not limited to bent up engines, broken parts, issues with paint, and all sorts of other things that I pointed out in the video. So do I recommend it? Yes, just be careful with it. Well, that's all for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I know I did mention the other model a few times in the video, and here it is. So, yeah, that's what that is. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more model airplane content, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.